ladies and gents, it's race week. We head straight to China. Round 2, it's come earlier this year. It was round 5 last year. That's mainly because we've had the moves from Bahrain and Saudi Arabia moved later in the year because of Ramadan. And it's a sprint race weekend. This one, action starts early Friday, FP1 and the sprint qualifying. Early morning start for the guys in the UK sprint. On the Saturday, 3 a.m, qualifying 7 a.m. UK time, and the race on Sunday, 7 o'clock. It should be brilliant. A 56-lap race, this one, 5.4 kilometres. 2 DRS zones down into turn 1 and turn 14, 16 turns. It's a high downforce circuit and, a massive big straight that they need to just get the balance right of all the cars. It's a circuit extension, so they've agreed an extension up until 2030, China, so it's going to remain on the calendar for a few more years yet. It normally does produce really good racing, and I can't wait for the action to start here. On to the tyres. It's the mid-range from Pirelli, the C2 for the hards, the C3 for the mediums, and the C4 for the softs for this weekend. Slightly harder, one step harder than we've seen in Australia. Strategy, we normally just get one stop around here. I don't expect that to change, and that's despite we had a new track surface last year, and that didn't really change much at all. Weather conditions should be warm and sunny this time, so expect a McLaren dominance. We should have seen that probably in Australia, shouldn't we? But the rain came down, the great equaliser. They had issues with their cars apparently towards the end, but who knows. With only one practice session, it's going to cause a lot of issues. I think the rookies will struggle again. They've gone from first race in rain to then second race in sprint race with just one lap or one session for getting the setup right, and straight into the sprint. So it'll be interesting to see who gets the setup right and who doesn't, because it'll be the big decider on what happens on the sprint. And I think also for Lewis Hamilton as well, who's had an awful start to his Australian Grand Prix. I mean, we've heard numerous people turn around and say, look, this is the second worst Ferrari debut of any driver. The worst was Luca Badola, who finished 16th or 17th on debut, and it probably couldn't have gone much worse. There was some highlights. He was leading at one point. Good strategy call, probably what he meant. He would have finished higher up than he actually did in the end, but he's got an awful lot of work to do. I don't think anyone envisaged it to be as bad as it did. And he admitted it as much as himself, didn't he? Didn't think he'd be falling this far short, and how much more he's still got to learn going forward. So an interesting admission from Lewis Hamilton, and let's see how he gets on this weekend. For the predictions, for the sprint qualifying, I've got Lando Norris first, Piastri second, and Charles Leclerc in third. So yes, I do think Ferrari will bounce back. They were the ones that were tipped all testing to be the ones that take the fight to McLaren. They were 8 and 9 tenths off in qualifying last time out. I think that was just more circuit specific, and I think in China they will be better off. Fingers crossed for me anyway, I hope so. For the sprint, I've got a Norris win, Leclerc second, and Piastri third. And for the qualifying for the race, I've got Piastri to take pole position, Lando Norris in second, and Max Verstappen in third. Just expecting him to just get that car right over, and he's done that previously, haven't they, where he's had a poor sprint. They've got to work and they've fixed things for qualifying and the race. They've been brilliant, so I'm kind of expecting a little bit more of the same. And for the race, I've gone Lando Norris, Verstappen, and then Piastri in third place. Predicting a good weekend for McLaren. If they can come home in a 1-3, that would be brilliant for them. The bad I've got for the Haas team, I think they're going to struggle again. I think just with it being such a short turnaround time between Australia and China, with just 1 week, they've got an awful lot of work to do with other things that I've come up with, I'll get onto in a minute, but there's not much time for upgrades or anything like that, so it'll be tough for them. In the news ahead of this weekend, all 11 teams actually have signed the new Concord agreement for 2026. That is just the commercial side of the agreement that's been agreed so far. The technical regulations for 26 are still yet to be signed off by all the teams. And the other big one that could potentially impact this race and will definitely impact the next race is that there's been a new rear wing deflection test to be announced, more rigorous from the FIA. They've put some cameras, as they did previously or towards the end of last year, on all the cars to check the rear wing deflection on the cars, and they felt after Australia that there was grounds for more rigorous testing. Now, previously there was a 2mm deflection allowed on the rear wing. For China, it's a significant reduction actually, down to just a quarter, 0.5 of a mil deflection allowed for the rear wing in China. Now, they said that all the cars were legal in Australia, and is it that because they were just on the edge of this 2mm deflection? Who knows? But it will just be now 0.5 of a mil allowed from China, and then it's going to be reduced further, so just 0.25 mil allowed in the rear wing deflection for Japan. Who will this favour? Well, anyone's guess really, but Red Bull have been the ones that are screaming loudest about how this is, unfair. Their rear wings are deflecting, blah blah blah. Have they got the biggest to gain? If you're screaming the loudest, normally you would assume so. How much will it impact the McLarens? Well, the question is really, who knows? We've seen that they were being more strict on it last year, and the McLarens didn't really fall away. So how much of an impact is it going to have now? They were aware of a strong front wing test, and that was going to come in Spain. The rear wing has just come out, and after the Oz GP, where they've sort of said, we're still seeing these flexes, and so we're going to clamp down on them. So it'll be interesting to see how that one pans out. All set to be an interesting Chinese Grand Prix. A number of drivers being their first time. The rookies, interesting to see how they get on. I'm really excited to see how they manage this sprint race weekend, because we've seen experienced drivers struggle with this, and I am sure we'll see the young guns struggle with this, as they did in Australia with the rain for the first time in these mega cars. It'll be interesting to see how they get on. I can't wait for the action to get going. Will it be explosive as Australia? You just never know, do you? China just throws up amazing races sometimes, so I can't wait for the action to get going there. But there we have it. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, see you next time.